Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Fanu, aka Fat Guyver in the lab. For a while, I've been wanting to start a video series of just making fucking beats, making music. I get asked a lot about how I make music and what plugins to use and shit like that. And I'm about to start offering online tuition and also audio engineering consultation. And this relates to that. But this mostly relates to just making music because I'm interested in seeing how people make music, and I love master classes and shit. So I kind of want to start my own, and the recipe for this is I'll just pick a sample or maybe two and then just go for that. Maybe do it for an hour. I know people's attention spans are kind of short, so fucking just stop the talk and just do it. So I'll be covering my workflows a little bit as well. So I don't really have a bigger plan. I'll just start working and do something for an hour or something. If this is gonna suck, I'll just delete it and that's it. If this is sort of okay, you're seeing me right now on YouTube. So without further ado, I'll just start with this break. Thanks to my friend Jason in Singapore for sending in this break. It's let's listen. It's by Black Sabbath called Behind the Wall of Sleep. I don't know if this is the original rip or anything, but hey, it sounds good to me. So first of all, I'll just warp this and try to make it sound decent. Let's just warp this real quick. Oh shit. Whew. Ableton Live is my main DAW. Fuck the rest. Play it. Okay, the drummer already lost me, but I want to get the tone right. In my workflow, I always keep Wavelab open because I have a nice reference song montage for all the genres that I work with. I also use this a whole lot in mixing and mastering for clients, which I do as my daily job. So I just compare what I'm doing to reference songs real quick. So here I have a hip hop montage. So every now and then I just kind of remind my ears that to stay in the ballpark. Bars, mega hard kick drum. Okay, no more of that. Those are songs that I've heard a million times, so I just have to listen, hear them for like 3 seconds, and that's it. That's always enough. But fuck, let me just start with this. I don't even know what I'm gonna do, and that's the whole point about these videos. I'll probably just get the drum bus. Oh, by the way, one thing that I'm hearing is I'm hearing difference between left and right, and what I like about utility in Ableton Live is you can listen to left and right, because in some old recordings the sounds kind of the sides kind of differ. So let's listen to left. Right is kind of got more meat. Fuck it, I'll just go for a stereo for now. Let me use the drum bus a little bit. It does sound sort of okay to me. I don't think it needs a whole lot of work. I could try to crunch a little bit. I love the boom feature in drum bus because you can, I think it's like synthesizing bass frequencies. I'm not that drunk yet. Oh shit, let me just chop it. I always go for a slice to new MIDI track, and yeah, got a slice by transients, which are these gray guys here that Ableton Live is pretty good at pointing out. So let me do this again. Alright, fuck that. I always reprogram the whole thing. Let me get the drum bus from the original track here and get cracking. Oh yeah, shit, I didn't have anything. So, let me, I could use a push and stuff, and I have a whole lot of hardware gear, but I don't have anyone to video any of that, so that's why I'm doing everything in software right now. Let me just do something real quick. I mean, at least this is literally how I do it most of the time. Okay, that sucks. That's gonna suck. I like a good variety. I usually use quite a few different snares and kicks and shit. You can hear the kick get a little short. I will address that real soon. That has to be a kick. And snare. If you have not fallen asleep yet, I salute you. Okay, let me loop this and let me go and loop the drum sounds that I will be using. Well, those RC1 and so the reason I love sampler is, oh my god, it's a fucking sampler, Jesus Christ. Let me convert it to sampler. I don't even know why it actually did not convert it to sampler. I probably found a bug in Ableton Live. It should have used my, oh my god. Because this type of looping is very essential to the music that I do. Because you will not hear this loop. You could hear this loop. Whoops, sorry. I hate it. It sounds fucking awful. Oh my god, sucks. This is smooth. Yeah, convert to sampler once again. Okay, I'll do this and I will just... You don't even have to see this because this is fucking boring. I'll do this and pause the video and get back to this once I'm done. Alright, I'm back. I basically just did a little bit of sample, setting sample points to these drums so they loop sort of nice. I also realized that this rhythm kind of sucks and I want to redo it. We're gonna need some swing. I always nudge my kicks, like ghost kicks a little bit, because in hip hop you need the swing. Legato will fix the gaps. Sounds like shit. Well, it probably sucks. I usually use quite a lot of time on doing my drums, but I don't want to bore everyone to death. Well, this will do for now. I think it sounds kind of shit, but then, yeah, I'm going to need a sample. I use a lot of certain sample naming. I mean, who doesn't? Some samples I call dope something. And I have a folder called MPC that sort of has samples that would work for hip hop. And you know, I'll just browse samples. I think a lot of my music just happens by accident. Like I come across samples. I've been sampling things for 25 years. I have a whole lot of samples on my hard drive. So I'll just browse for something that would sort of maybe work. Let me actually open this one. This is a long one, so sometimes, well, actually, I use third-party audio editor kind of often, just so I can just open it and browse the sample. I'll loop the beat. I think the beat is gonna need a little more dirt, I think. I don't know. Well, anyways. Kind of sick. Okay, let me loop this. So sometimes I just loop things like this. I think this part is almost like a perfect loop. So let me create another instance of this in the audio editor, and let me loop this guy. I think this could be like the bass, bass as in B-A SE, not the bass line, but sounds like some horrorcore. Let me find this guy here, warp it. Let's move this thing. How long have I been working? 15 minutes or something. I said I would work for an hour. Okay. Let me just loop that. I think it's a nice 2-bar loop. And another instance of this. Let me find I had like I think it's here. Perfect. Oh shit, that's it. Let me use the metronome. Yeah. I'm actually shitting my pants. I've never done a beat like with a clock or kind of like somebody watching. When I hear this beat in mono, I like utility. On my master, I have 2 instances of utility. The legacy utility from Ableton Live 9. One is set to, well, it's completely mono, and the other is completely, well, side signal. So I can quickly listen to the whole thing in mono. Okay, it's the stereo image with the drums is sort of kind of fucked up. I also have a limiter on my master. I want to compress this thing here a little bit because I want to even out the dynamic range, because it's sort of like the ding, it's kind of loud, and I could use pretty much any compressor in the world. Let me go for the 1176. Let's see. Probably cut quite okay. I hear the beat in mono. And I always do these really quick checks with my reference songs, so I'm not doing anything crazy. Because I think it's kind of universal that your ears get used to however your song is going to sound. So a real quick check. Deep or standing applause. Well, that's enough. Maybe I'm going a little too loud and a little too bright. I mean, that always happens. reverb, I always have a Valhalla vintage reverb on one of my effects buses. Love the guy. Creates an amazing sense of space and gives the sound a little width and decay. Oh, by the way, I will not try and create a whole song here. That takes some time. I just want to do like a loop and maybe go through some of the techniques. And I definitely want to do several videos just to cover some techniques in every video. I would need a bass. I totally do not have any. Okay, let's save this thing. Let's call it shitty beat. So I do not have any fixed formula for creating a bass. Sometimes I go for a sampled bass, and sometimes I use a synth. Let me just get something that I haven't used for a while. Let me try Monarch by Native Instruments. Whoa, not really. Let me get bass. Oh shit. I always have span on my master. I have it mapped to Shift S. So wherever I am, I hit Shift S and it'll come to span. Like the focus will be brought to span. So I just have to click this thing and it'll open. So let me check the bass frequencies. I'm just gonna make sure that the sample is in key. I have a pretty nice tip for that. You know, I'm not musically trained, but I always just pull up a very basic thing like this and listen to my sample or whatever with this shit. I'll just try to go for something that fits. This is literally how I work. Like, I gotta find something that fits. Oh shit. Oh my god, check this guy out. Okay, this would sound great with some side chaining with the kick, the main kick. So how am I gonna do that? I will need a beer from the fridge. I tuned the samples a little bit. Maybe I'm going the wrong way. I don't know. Feel free to roast me in the comments and let me know if I should just pack it and quit. Let me sidechain. Let me use one kick. So I want to sidechain. Let me save it. Sidechain the bass to the kick. So I gotta know the name of the kick. You activate sidechain here, audio from. Let me see what kick it actually is. Is it this? Let's call it kick. And whoops. So audio from track 2. Okay. When I give it like a slow release. Shit, yeah. I think it sounds a little bit like Danny Breaks. He used to fucking rule, dude. I miss Danny Breaks. The whole today's music world needs more Danny Breaks. I'm just saying. No offense to today's music world, but we need more Danny Breaks. I'm probably gonna need a little more mid-range on the kick. I use a Fab Filter Pro Q. Oh, by the way, what I just did. I give some really stupid names to the presets or some plugins that I use a lot. Like Fab Filter is like FFFFF. Why? Because I use it every day, 300 times. So whenever I initiate a search, it's just really easy to do. Like find FFFF. That's it. Pro Q. Well, looking at sounds is not always the thing, but still, I do sometimes look for a little dip in the sound. Like if the sound is too much of a smiley curve, you may want to address that. So let's look at this. I could try and boost this around 1K, 2K. Okay, I was in mono, which is great. When I flick it back to stereo, I hear that sounds like the samples that I use are really wide. One thing about stereo with or your mono compatibility is it's great to what I do a lot is if the sound is really wide and when I flick it to mono like this, if it loses some level, what I always do is I make it completely mono at first. Let's see. Okay, it has some reverb because it has some width because it's going through the reverb. But first, I make it mono and then set the mono level right, because that means that when your music gets collapsed to mono, you're making sure that the necessary sounds do not to drop too much in level. So always mix in mono, at least every now and then, and make sure that the sounds do not disappear in the song, because a lot of the mixes and masters that I get every week, some of them have sounds that when I make the song mono, a lot of some of the important sounds like really drop, and then I have to go and, well, in mastering, then I have to tell the producer like, hey, make them sound mono first, push it up, and then after that set the width. So make sure that like this is why I recommend using a mono maker plugin on the master, so you can always check that your important sounds don't really drop in level too much when you make it mono. So I made this main sound mono and then just spread it a little bit. It's leaning a little bit to the right. This as well. Is it? Yeah, it's looking like it a little bit. In Ableton Live 10, you also have the split stereo pan mode, and here you could do some stuff. Okay, let's just browse for some more cool ass sounds. Really quick check. I know that is really annoying to watch, but I do that a lot. Maybe, I think the drums could use a little beef. I'm not sure how doable that is. Maybe EQ could help a little bit. Or maybe I'm listening to the wrong... Yeah, I made it mono. I kind of like the stereo image, but I kind of don't. Okay, let me do this. I'll do an envelope for the transpose, because I think this sounds kind of cool. Okay, so clip, transposition modulation, unlink the clip or the envelope from the length of the clip. So transpose the last bar up by 1 semitone. It's not working, what the fuck? It sounds kind of happens in the wrong spot, but whatever. That has to happen at the end of bar 4, actually, and I will do let me do this. Shit. And I will do a little bit of filtering for this guy, because I kind of wanted the filter to close towards end of bar 4. So the filter would work. Okay, so oh yeah, unlink 4. And then the transposition could work. I actually want to freeze this thing. Oh my god. Compressor sidechain cannot be frozen, so let me overcome this problem. Freeze it. I'll just move the compressor over to another track. And now I'll just create an MIDI track. Put the audio there. Well, I cannot. So here it is, and let me do wobbly shit with this. So pitch, no. I could maybe, if I want to take a look at, yeah, this will do. That is exactly what I want. Okay, so has to be faster. It sounds pretty worthless, right? Let me add a little life to this guy. So what I'll do is, this is my favorite technique in Ableton Live. I will divide the signal into 3 chains, low, mid, and high. And for that, I will use multiband dynamics that will allow me to solo the 3 bands. So I put it into a rack, and that will allow me to duplicate the chain. This will be high, next will be mid, this will be low. So on high chain, I will solo the highs, mid chain will solo the mids, and low will solo the lows. And I want to just roast the mids, because I'm going to need to breathe some life into this guy. I could probably use a saturator on the mid chain. Oh, shit. Let me see the subs. Okay, so now I'm gonna need like 2 dB more subs. Hey, no problem. I'll just go and raise. I could raise it, even raise it from here. One thing about bass processing, I have to tell you, I mean, there's not very many rules in audio engineering, but one thing is always just keep the subs as clean as you can. I never ever touch the sub. I just want to clean. I want to keep the sub very clean. I don't want to roast it. Keep the sub clean and just mess with the stuff that's above sub. Also, sometimes if I needed to do this, I don't need to do it anymore, but sometimes if I feel that like the whole song is going to need like 1 dB more sub, so I always put multiband dynamics on the master, and then here I can just raise the lows. This is a super efficient and quick and clean technique to raise the subs of your whole song. You can even solo the thing and listen to it. Oh, dude. I mean, who does not love subs and lows? It's a nice way to hear that you don't get a whole lot of like mod and shit. When you're listening to the lows, you should basically hear the subs and a bit of the kick. I will make a check for the kick and subs real soon, but I mean, I can see the kick poke here. That's nice. Let me look at the kick. Whoopsie, sorry. My kick will be hitting me in the face. No, but okay, so there is no clashing between the sub, because look at the sub. Sub is 47 Hertz. Kick is nowhere near. Another thing that I would say, it's nice to have the kick and bass, the subs, nicely separate. And a nice rule to it, to me, is for a very ideal separation is take your sub peaking frequency, which is, here it's 47. So this is not a rule, it's not super precise, but take that and multiply it by 2, and that is like the very ideal placement for your kick frequency wise. So for me it will be like, I suck at math, it's 94. So let me see, the kick is, that's pretty good, but do not take this a rule. I know people get hung up on numbers, so it's not a rule. Your ears will tell if it gets like really muddy, and when it starts farting when you limit it, it's usually because you got a whole lot of clashing in your lows or your low mids. I'm gonna need more swing for the kicks. I don't know. I just, do I? Let me know if I'm wrong. I don't want to be right every time. Oh, it's this guy. Fuck. Alright. Oh, mids. I'm going to need, oh shit, I lost the sidechain compressor, so I'm not getting the swinging anymore, because that's essential. I will need it. I think it creates a nice movement, so it's not so static. Slower release is needed. I think my drums sound kind of flimsy. I could try using the Pultec EQ. I do this a lot for low beef. Let's listen. Oh, by the way, I can already hear somebody say in the comments that my kick or my drums will be hitting red. But that doesn't matter because I'm working with a 32-bit floating point engine in Ableton Live, which means that even if your track is hitting red, it doesn't matter because the headroom above the tracks is massively high. So as long as your master is not hitting red, you're good. What I often use in the master as the first thing is another stupid preset name is HHH, is Hornet Leveler. VU meter brings my master level down to -18 based on a peak. So what do you know? Now the level just came down a whole lot. So I got a whole lot of headroom to work with on the master. About my limiters, I used to use an invisible limiter for a long time, but the fact is it does not have a intersample peak protection. Unless you go for quality 3, and then I think the ceiling has to be around -0.5 dB. What is intersample peaking? Well, that's a story for another session. I use the ozone limiter a whole lot. I think that's still my favorite one. And my final limiting and mastering, I always use more than one limiter because in general, if you do a whole lot of heavy lifting with your plugins, sometimes it makes sense to share the workload between more than one instance, and it really applies to limiters especially because sometimes it gets kind of soft, and if you have lots of peaks to treat, it always makes sense to use more than one limiter. I could probably just go and look for something else. It sounds kind of boring, but I don't want to make these sessions very long. I kind of want to cover my techniques more than trying to make a really good sounding song, which would be a bonus, but because I get asked about my techniques a lot, and covering all the techniques would take 92 hours, so I just want to split this into sessions and just messing with shit. But let me browse. For my workflow, it's very essential to just create something like a really simple backbone like this, and then I just go and browse, just go for whatever fits. How about this? It's gonna fuck. I've probably used this sample before. It's nice and crazy. Let me actually put this into simpler or a sampler. The easiest way actually to load something into a simpler is just drag a sound onto the bottom bar of MIDI track. But I mostly use a sampler just for the alternating loop. Seriously, Ableton, I am telling you guys, you need to do alternating loop for a simpler. It's a screaming omission. I'm not kidding. I'm being actually very serious. The lack of alternating loop in simpler is just, I'm gonna say it's fucking unforgivable. I love you guys. You know I love you, but we have to make the looping happen correctly. Crossfade, alternating loop. Everyone's happy. envelope that fades the sound out. I recently had to explain the function of an envelope to a lot of people, to my students, my amazing students. So let me really super quickly explain what an envelope does. Well, an envelope can control whatever parameter pretty much, but this sampler has an inbuilt amplitude envelope, and what it does is this is pretty much a graphical representation of the amplitude of the sample, and all the parameters are shown here. So basically the level just shoots up and it comes down, and these are the values of how long it'll last. Like, it will shoot up and it'll come down to this point, and it will take the envelope this time to fully come back down. It doesn't have to come fully back down if I want to, but I pretty much want to fade it out in 12 seconds. Alright, that'll work. Let me add some DK. No, ping pong, sorry. I'm getting drunk. In ping pong, I always use the repitch mode, which does this. I love it. Okay. I could do an envelope for the ping pong send, so it's not always on. Ping pong delay. Maybe I could give it a short burst in the beginning and. As far as I know, I cannot record the automation of a return device on session view. Please let me know if I'm wrong. I always do this on the master when I record the song on the arrangement, but I like doing this. One essential technique. I know the beat fucking sucks. There's no point. But from here on, I mean, this is really just a starting point. I would use a whole, like, way more hours just to make some sense, like bringing more sounds and do sections and stuff. I use the scenes for sort of even telling myself what happens in my songs and its sections. Like, I always do like an intro, and the beat comes in and bass comes in and whatever. But the way I work, I usually create one mega scene. Mega scene, that's my own word. But I create a scene that has a shitload of stuff, like too much, but stuff that works together. Because for me, that means that I will have enough ideas and material for a whole song. So then I just spread it out. Like, I do the mega scene, and then I either start like thinning it out and do an intro and then proceed from the intro towards the mega scene and then do an outro, or I may go straight to, maybe I like transfer the whole mega scene to arrangement and start thinning it out to an intro and proceed towards the mega scene. Whatever works. But I did the whole scene workflow has been great to me. I use an analogy. I say, I do not try and bake the cake before all the ingredients needed are on the table. And these are the ingredients needed for the cake, which is the song. And when I work towards the song, there's way more tracks, at least double or 3 times this often. At least like 15 tracks. And it's like a chaos. But it means that then I take and use the different elements for different sections, and I get the variety and just basically the sections, and it doesn't get like super boring. And this has been great because before Ableton Live, I used to work with, well, whatever DAW, and Cubase and Logic, and I was always looking at the time, like proceeding in 16 bar steps, and it was always my enemy. Like I do something and I look like, oh shit, I got the 45 seconds. Now I got like 1 minute and 50 like 15 seconds. I'm like, dude, that's just fucking discouraging. So now I always do like one scene with a shitload of stuff, and then I kind of get the vibe that, yeah, this is enough for a song, so create sections out of those. But I won't do that now. One more technique and then I'm out. I always do this on the master. As the first thing on the master, I use an EQ. Any EQ would go for this, but I use this Massenburg by UAD because it's really clean. So I do this scanning for usually low mids, and I use boosts of like 20 dB and just scan the low mids for things that really start to whistle or like fucking rip or explode, and just cut it. You can do this for separate tracks as well. It's a pretty nice technique, but I especially do it on the master because things build up, and this is a fairly relevant place to cut. Yeah, hear it? Yeah, like here it sounds fucking crazy. Whoops. This is not a rule either, but I'm saying pretty much almost every song will have something, some clutter around, I'm going to say 125. As you see, the cuts that I do they're not super wide. They're kind of narrow, and I do a lot of it. And for high mid resonances, I use Soothe by OEK Sound. That's a great finished product that I encourage all you to buy. It's a great automatic dynamic resonance suppressor that will take out a lot of high mid harshness. The great thing about it is you can hear exactly what you're taking out in delta mode. Taking out some of the shit. You can't go crazy in here. I usually make it sound like this, but I mean, not a rule either. So real quick, I use Ozone always as my final tool. I'm gonna need my mastering preset, which actually does not do anything. I don't work with presets per se, but it loads the modules that I use. I love the imager. It gives me a little bit of low mid width if I want to. Oh, gotta make it louder. So I was doing like 15. And it has true peak limiting, which is great. Does it sound like shit?
Lost in the moment, yes.
About some older shit like prohibition.
I also love the low mid exciter. This is really important in the work that I do. Because especially in very digital sounding music, this sort of adds to the fullness of the sound. I will overdo it so you get the point, and I pull it back. From here on, I usually gets limiting a whole lot. I want to emphasize I'm not trying to create a amazing sounding final product. I'm just trying to hit it in the ballpark. So I always just bring this down and insert another limiter, like share the limiting, and just make sure that your transients stay intact. I usually have to, like, if I do a lot of sub bass action, I have to massage things nicely to make everything fit, to make it nice and loud. Yeah, my iMac is probably gonna need a breather or something. I'll just finish the video here. I know the beat sucks, probably sounds like shit, but it'll be roughly an hour and be covering some of the basic techniques that I use. So hey, I really want to hear from you guys how you feel about shit like this. Is it too long? Is it too short? Do you want to see more? Did I totally suck? I probably did, but I think my music has always sucked. No, I think it's decent. If you want to check it out, it's fanu.bandcamp.com. The address will be there. So yeah, that's it for now. That's my first, I don't know what to call it, semi-drunk studio session. So yeah, thanks for checking it out, and just to be annoying as possible, to use a parlance of our times, subscribe and like and share it with your dog and whatever. Anyways, thanks for watching. Till the next time. Peace out, dudes.